Alright, so let's go over here. So I finished building the core of my base, or the space station. I still need to, actually like build a shell for it and like a proper docking area and everything, but for right now this is currently my base. I got a little medical room up here. This will allow you to heal, charge your oxygen, hydrogen energy, as well as you can respawn on this. So basic setup, I have a couple of docks for right now, which feed into this cargo container, which I have named the BCCG, Base Cargo General. I put these little tags on all of my cargo here, so I can just type in BCC, and it'll show me all my base cargo containers. I have one for ore, one for ingots, one for ice, and then a general. And I have it all piped up to where it'll automatically sort and refine all the materials dropped off here. So basically everything feeds into this central loop. All my ores will go into this cargo container, which then feeds down into this refinery. It gets refined down into ingots, and then gets sent back into the main loop. From there, all the ingots get dumped over into this cargo container, which I'm kind of stuck in there. It gets dumped over into this cargo container. The ingots are used in the assembler, which I have buried in here. Right there, I got the assembler, and then I have a bunch of speed mods attached to it, as well as some batteries for my base. So I have some power storage, and then gravel is also sorted out off this direction into my gravel sifter, which I did put the mod in for the save. So now I can turn gravel down into additional ores and stuff, which then gets sent off back into the main loop. Those ores then go back into the ore container to go back through the refinery to turn into more ingots. All of the ice gets pulled off into this cargo container, and then from there it's fed into this little dividing system here, attached to 5 of these H2O2 generators. And what these do is turn the ice into breathable oxygen and usable hydrogen as fuel. The hydrogen gets stored into this tank for right now, which if I go here to the key menu for it, I have 14.9% full, which off of a large grid, large hydrogen tank is a lot of hydrogen. And then the oxygen gets sent up here into this little dividing rig that goes into 4 of the large oxygen tanks. You'll notice these are a whole lot smaller than the hydrogen, and that's because you don't really go through a whole lot of oxygen. So this will be far more than enough for what I'll be needing. And all of this is going to be expandable too. Like the hydrogen tanks, I can just add on to the back, come in this way, and expand out the hydrogen storage. If I need to, I can expand out the H2O2 generators using the same 502 generator pattern, and I can just basically copy and paste it going back this way here. I can mine out this ice asteroid if I need more room, or I can change this grid from a station to a ship, and I can actually move the whole grid. It'll be real slow to do, but I could do that if I need to move it for more room. I can also expand out the cargo back this way, just the same as I can the hydrogen. And then the oxygen I can stack on top and just keep expanding out the oxygen if I need to, which I highly doubt I will. The gravel sifter, I only ever need one because I'm not going to be going through that much gravel. The assembler here, if I need to add another one, I can do that off to this side, along with the cargo associated with the assembler. And then I can feed the output all down into this pipe here, I can just grind this down and do a 4x pipe junction here instead of a 3x. So like this T junction, I could change that and it'll have an extra port here, and I can just feed down the extra assembler input back into this junction. And what these conveyor sorters do is just allow only ammo components and tools to pass freely back and forth. So I don't have any items that are in there get jammed up into that container here. The only thing that will ever be allowed in here is components, tools, ammo, and the ingots that come in. As well as a little bit of gravel, but that gravel will be sorted out through here and then turned back into ingots. And then with the hydrogen over here, I have 2 more of these sorters, and these are configured just to allow hydrogen and oxygen bottles to travel freely back and forth. So that way, whenever I put a hydrogen or an oxygen bottle in here that isn't completely filled up, the oxygen or hydrogen tanks could grab those bottles, you know, pull them over to their inventory, fill them up, and then I could freely take those back out and carry on me for use. And then as well as that, it basically completely expandable. If I need more general cargo, I can grind this down and put more cargo here, or I could just build on down this way, which actually would probably be a little bit better. With the refineries, if I need to expand out, I can just add another refinery connected up to this port in the same orientation, because it has one port here, one port here, one port on the top that's connected directly to that cargo, and then there's a port down here on the bottom. So I can just expand these off to this side using that same orientation there. So basically, the way that I did the layout for this base core is it is entirely expandable in every direction without any need for adjustments for compatibility. So this entire storage system is 100% expandable. And then over here you'll notice this is completely different from the ship I had the other day. I completely ground down that ship and restarted. This one here is only going to be for mining. And I have ion thrusters instead of hydrogen, so I don't need to actually utilize any of that hydrogen fuel, because that would be kind of a waste for just a miner that goes just back and forth to pick up materials. But that way, you know, I can save on having any issues with that. Now, one thing is right now I don't have any power generation currently connected up, but that is a pretty easy issue to solve. All I need to do is right here, instead of having a bend, I can grind that down and come over here, and I can allow this to let uranium ingots go through. And then up here I can just expand off, and I can actually put like a reactor on there. So I could do like one of these large reactors or something like that, and I can connect that in right here. Alternatively, I could do a junction right here, so that way I can still allow for the expansion of that cargo, and then pull that from that junction into like a reactor sort of setup, like maybe right here, and have that run like in incongruence with the assemblers. But you know, that's issues for later on. Although I am pretty much completely out of power on this base. Yeah, I got 6 hours of power, and all of these batteries are showing no lights on their charge meter, which that's what these 4 bars are. It's like a little charge meter. You can see that on the ship over here. This one's fully charged, but it's yellow because it's in recharge rather than auto, where it charges and discharges just whenever it needs to. But It's not a bad little base core. It took me a few hours to get all of that set up and everything. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any good like pre-built layouts or anything, so I had to actually go through and manually configure this in a way that would allow for modular expandability. But back over here to this mining ship here, I have a ore detector here. Now this is a modded ore detector only in that it has a bunch of extra range. So you can see over in the right hand side there it says 20 times. It uses a lot more components to build to make it a little bit more balanced, but it just has a much larger detection range. And basically all that means is when I fly near an asteroid, I can see if there's any good ore deposits inside that asteroid from a much greater distance. It's not exactly cheating, it just makes finding the ore a little bit faster, but in space, like those tiny little rocks way out there, that takes you about 20 IRL minutes to fly over there just to see if there's anything in there. And it kind of sucks when you fly past one and all you see is just what's on the surface, but there might be something really valuable inside. So all that is basically just to save time. I got some little lights tucked in right there on the sides of it. Got all these little ion thrusters here. I got one major ion thruster on the back. I got an oxygen tank on it, and that's just so that way when I sit in the cockpit here, I can fill up my O2, which is in the bottom left. Also, my suit will charge off of this as well. So while I'm flying around in this, if I die, I'll spawn back over here at the base. The ship itself, it'll just be wherever it was. I do have a beacon tucked in right here, which when that's turned on, it'll just show a little GPS blip when you're nearby, so I'll be able to find it. Chances are I won't ever die while flying this, because I'm never actually going to exit the vehicle. But aside from that, I have 3 of these modular containers tucked in here. Got one up there, one right over there, and then one here on the bottom. Then I've kind of wrapped it in solar panels, which actually I could probably grab another one of this style solar panel and put on the bottom. And that's just so that way I have a way to charge batteries while I'm away from base, just in case, you know, something happens and one of the batteries gets banged up or something, and I have real low power. I can just kind of turn the ship off and angle it in the sunlight, so that way I can charge up and I'll be able to get back to base. And then these 2 blocks here are really nice. It's an AI flight module and a recorder. So basically I have that set up to where the miner dock AI flight and AI recorder. And I have this set up with 3 waypoints on the recorder, and then the flight module I have set up with collision avoidance on, precision off. And what this will allow me to do is on my hotbar I have on 3 and 4 the ability to turn on and off the behavior of those blocks. So I can fly off, go and mine a bunch of stuff, and then kind of back away from the asteroid a little bit, and I can turn the AI behavior on, and what it will do is it will automatically fly the ship to those waypoints in the order that I recorded the waypoints, perform any actions that I have set up upon reaching the waypoint, and that way I can basically have an auto return back to the base. So I can go out and I can manually fly out, grab materials and stuff, and then turn that on, and it'll just go ahead and bring the ship back. And I have it set up to actually on waypoint 1 here. What it'll do is it'll switch from precision mode and collision avoidance. So while I'm real far out or whatever, I'll have precision off, so that way it doesn't need to get super close, like dead on to that waypoint, so the ship will fly a little bit faster because it doesn't necessarily need to be perfectly on that waypoint when it gets there. And then the collision, I want to have that on when I'm flying back from an asteroid, just in case, you know, there's like something in the way or whatever. The ship will automatically try to avoid that. And then once I get close enough to that waypoint 1, then I switch that around to where precision's on, but collision avoidance is off. And that way it will allow me to have the ship back up to the dock without actually without trying to avoid collision with the docking port, because that'll make it really hard for it to get this connector close enough to actually dock up. But I also have on that waypoint as well, on waypoint 3, if I go and look at the action bar, I will lock the connector. That last waypoint will be right there next to it, so that way it'll line up perfectly, and then we'll automatically lock the connector, and then it will turn the behavior for the flight module off. It will turn collision back on, and it'll turn precision mode back off, so that way the next time that I fly out, it'll already be set up with collision on and precision off for when I want to come back to the base. And then, on top of that, I have this minor event controller. I have that labeled for dock, because what this does is once the connector of the ship, the minor connector, is connected, it will perform the actions down here on this hotbar. So when it isn't connected, it will have the gyros on. When it is connected, it'll turn that off. The same for the spotlights, the thrusters, the beacon. My oxygen tank will switch from stockpile on and off. So on stockpile on, it will pull all the oxygen it can into that tank. And then when it's off, it'll actually allow you to utilize that oxygen. So when it's docked up, it will fill up that tank. So that way when I undock, I'll have a full tank to use. The batteries, it will sit to recharge and then switch it to auto. And then over here on the ore detector, it'll turn that on and off. I think, yeah, that's all I have set up for this. So what you'll see is when I press number 9 to undock, my lights and everything will come on, and I'll be able to fly the ship around. So you see, as soon as I undock, I can actually fly it around. And then if I line it back up and then press number 9, it turns everything back off again, sets it up to recharge, and that way every time I take the ship out, I know it's already ready to go. So what I can do is I can just fly over here, and I'll grab a little bit of this ice. I don't necessarily need it, but it'll be the quickest demonstration here. So I can manually fly over here and just pick up some of this ice. And that should be good. Let's check the inventory. Yeah, I got some, just a little bit. Now what I can do is I can kind of back away a little bit here. Now I can press 4 and 3, and that turns on the autopilot. As you can see there, it says autopilot enabled. And I can't even actually fly the ship at all right now. It locks the controls of the player. But what it's going to do is it's going to come in, line up, and then it will automatically dock. And now the items that are in the ship is going to be pulled out just naturally by the sorters that I have set up over here. Because what these do, some of these are set up to where they will drain. So drain all means that as soon as anything's connected to this inventory that's allowed through, it will force it into that container. And then down here for the components and the bottles, I have that turned off, set to off, so that way I can manually do it, but it's not going to force those items back and forth. Otherwise, it will just keep looping around through the inventories, and it'll be kind of hard to grab. But pretty much that's just kind of how it's set up. Now, also, if I come over here to the ice container, let's see. Oh, actually, it already went through all that ice, I guess. Let's see, hide empty, show only of current ship. No, okay, yeah, the ice is just in the O2H2 generators, but that's all I have. So it already burnt through what I brought back. And this is just the last little bit here. But, yeah, it's not a bad little base here to get started. Like I said, I can expand this out however much I need. Currently I just have, for the modules, I just have the yield modules on. It makes it take a lot longer to produce items and stuff or find everything down, but it gives you more per bit of ore that you have. So like, say you have 1,000 iron ore, and that would normally refine down into like, say 700 iron ingots. With the yield module, you would get like 900 instead of 700. And then I have all the upgrade module slots filled up with those. And that's just that way I can get ore materials, which is pretty good for getting started out. Later on, when I get like 4 or 5 of these refineries, and I have like a much larger collection ship, I'll be able to switch those to speed, so that way it will refine everything down a lot quicker, and it won't necessarily matter if I lose out on a little bit of material from it, because I'll just be able to collect so much more. Like, eventually I'll be able to have a mining ship that's the size of this base core, and be able to like core out entire asteroids and stuff. But that's a pretty good ways off for right now. But that's pretty much what I've been doing so far.